State of Christian hip hop, man. Some of it frustrates me, and some of it is amazing. I think it's biblical to be concerned about how we manage our business and steward the opportunities God has given us, and manage our finances in that regard. I think we've seen that grow a lot, in CHH. I think the pendulum has swung somewhat too far to where brand, business, and all of those things often are beginning to take more precedent over certain biblical foundations. You know what I mean? And we talked about some of that even in the panel, whether it's from how do I love my brother as myself, even though we have two distinctive businesses and, I can't give them anything, but how can I make sure that I'm loving on them in a way, that looks biblical, opposed to a secular business model that would just say, hey, I'm doing my thing and whatever happened to you, fam, is on you. So I think some of those things frustrate me, and then another thing when I just look at the state of Christian hip hop is the fear of artists who are like, well, I see so-and-so moving like this, so I'm just going to do that. So now you almost got cats that are afraid to talk about the Lord in music or, things of that nature. And I'm like, well, hold up. That's nothing to fear. Like, there's a God we serve and we should be comfortable communicating his truths and his heart within our music. You know what I mean? So pendulum swing, praying that the Lord to balance things out. When I create, I never want to have to force Jesus in, and I never want to have to force Jesus out. And what I mean by that is I'm okay with writing a record that may not be explicitly about Christ, you know what I mean, or about the Bible per se, but it will have biblical worldview. And I want to feel comfortable when I'm writing that record, not to feel like I have to force something in to make it to others seem Christian enough. While at the same time, I never want to be in a position where I'm writing and I'm feeling like, dag, man, I'm afraid to put Jesus. Let me squeeze Jesus out. I want to be open to that creative process and let it lean me. You know what I mean? Whichever way, without being distracted by either or. So for me, a lot of those things, man, I try to stay true to the cloth that's always been for me. There are little tweaks and adjustments I'm learning and becoming comfortable with, but overall, you always gonna get from me what you've always gotten from me. So even if you go back to my first record, The Seasoning, I had a lot of more weighty things, in my music in that time, and some of that reflected what I was learning and, things of that nature, new things that were coming out of my music. But you also heard records about, my mama getting high, me selling drugs, and that was in my first album. You know what I mean? That ain't a new concept. It's not nothing I'm doing new. I've done that in my first album. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's really a matter of those things, staying faithful to what's always been.